Good evening, Belize, and welcome to XTV's news broadcast for Monday, January 6th, 2025. Making the headlines tonight, Belize City resident found dead on Turnif Island. Motorcyclist dies in traffic accident near Belmopan. And over 200 new police recruits make up the latest squad. We take our first break and return with the news in detail.
And today we're here shopping at B-Mart. Today we're making the greens super smooth.
Welcome back with your news. I am Drea Espinosa. A resident of Old Faubers Road in Belize City became the first murder victim of 2025. The body of 59-year-old Godfrey Winfield Hyde, a caretaker, was found on one of the Turnip Islands in the Belize district at around 6 Saturday morning. He had 2 gunshots to the body. Fisherman Frederick Dougal reported that he had gone to deliver provisions for Hyde when he discovered his body on the veranda of the bungalow house where he stayed. He immediately notified the Coast Guard. One expended shell was found at the scene. ACP Gilberto Romero said that it does not appear anything was stolen.
Okay, on Saturday, the 4th day of January 2025, around 1:30 p.m., information was received that a body was found at Turnip Islands. Police responded to the report. Upon arrival, they saw the lifeless body of a male person at one of the islands with apparent gunshot injuries. Information is that the caretaker of the island was there for a while and someone brought supplies to him, after which the body was found. The body was identified to be that of Godfrey Hyde, 59 years, fisherman of Belize City.
Is it possible that this was a robbery of some kind?
We do not know at this time. He was there alone at the island and his body was found there.
Okay, so I understand that it's the Coast Guard who initially responded to the information, correct?
Yes, the person that took the supplies contacted the Coast Guard who made checks. They found the body, then they called for the police.
Have police discovered that anything from the house that they found him at was missing or anything like that?
No, not at this time. Nothing has been established that is missing.
A motorcyclist has lost his life following a fatal road traffic accident, which occurred near Armenia in the Cayo district, not far from Belmopan. The incident occurred on Sunday night after 7. The motorcycle driven has been identified as 42-year-old Mario Quijada. Reports are that Quijada may have lost control of his motorcycle due to the wet conditions of the highway, causing him to collide into a Toyota Hilux being driven by Veronica Mahil. ACP Gilberto Romero gave an update of the incident today.
On Sunday, the 5th of January 2025, police responded to a fatal road traffic accident at mile 47 on the Hummingbird Highway. Upon arrival, they saw a Toyota Hilux and a motorcycle with extensive damages. Information revealed that Veronica Mahil was driving a Toyota Hilux when she collided with the motorcycle being driven by Mario Quijada, 42 years. Mario Quijada was taken for treatment where he was pronounced dead at the hospital. An investigation is being carried out to determine if any charges will be levied.
Any sample taken from the driver?
Yes, a sample was taken.
The Belize Police Department today welcomed 223 recruits at the National Police Training Academy in Belmopan. They comprise Squad 98. Ahead of their intense 6 months of training, the group was addressed by Police Minister Karim Musa. His message was centered on them becoming modern-day smart police officers. According to the minister, this also involves the officers striving to attain higher education.
That was the theme, taking the police department into the future. And what that entails is, of course, utilizing greater innovation and technology. It involves greater community policing efforts with a heavy focus on neighborhood watch groups. It involves advancing their own personal careers outside of the department, getting a greater, higher education, and certainly most of all, building trust and confidence in the public, in the Belize Police Department. And so I think they're all very understanding and mindful of what their role will be when they graduate in 6 months.
This year, much more attention is being called to traffic fatalities and in particular an exponential increase in motorcycle accidents. In response to the Belize Police Department is set to launch a road policing unit. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams explained it will fall under the Mobile Interdiction Team and will be tasked with policing our roadways. According to Williams, there will be more checkpoints, and the expectation is also that the unit will be able to make an impact regarding crimes such as human trafficking, human smuggling, firearms trafficking, and drug trafficking. They will have the authority to issue tickets. At the same time, the Compol says their traffic police officers will continue to work with transport officers in rural areas and municipalities. The Compol remarked that he looks forward to amendments to be proposed, particularly regarding drunk driving. As we reported, the 2024 murder count ended at 89, 2 more than previous years. The Commissioner of Police says they worked hard to keep the numbers lower than 2023 or at the same figure, and though they fell short, he is grateful that the figures in recent years have been way less than others.
Well, you know, the devil is always busy. The police worked arduously to try as best as we could have to keep the murder count below last year's figure, or at least at last year's figure. That was my hope. And believe you me, I push my police officers, and I know that they were out there doing their part. But at the end, the devil got busy. We have the triple in Monkey River, and then we had the double with the 2 persons with the drug deal in Ladyville, in Hattieville. You know, then eventually we had the other 2, which include one in Belize City. So it just caught up with us, and those were things that I do not see would have fallen within the preventative reach of the police. They happened, and it took our number to 89 compared to 87 last year. I still believe that 89 is a huge accomplishment, considering the fact that prior to me becoming Commissioner of Police, we were averaging around 130 to 140 murders annually. And since I became Commissioner, we see the numbers steadily decrease. And again, while I do not take the credit for it, because like I said before, there are different factors, but the leadership that not only myself, but also my minister and the Prime Minister are very instrumental. When we want equipments, when we want recruits, the Prime Minister always supports us to make sure that we get what we need to be able to fight crime effectively. So I have to thank the Prime Minister and my minister for the support that they had given us to have been able to achieve what we have done over the past few years. Moving forward, we just have to continue doing our utmost best to try and reduce the murder count. This is the main issue for me. I know that every crime is a crime, but when you're robbed or your whole home is burglarized or something is stolen from you, you still have your life. When your life is taken away, that is irreplaceable, and so we must always try to work as best as we can to save lives. Even the lives of those people who we believe may not value their own lives, we must make sure we do what we can to help them to protect their own life as well.
For his part, Minister Karim Musa credited the lower figure to the work of the Commissioner of Police and his officers, as well as stakeholders and the various programs in place, such as the LIU. However, Musa said he wants to see the number decrease even further.
I am satisfied with the number. I think it is important that we take a pause to reflect on the good work that we have seen throughout the course of 2024. We haven't seen such low numbers since the year 2005. That is 20 full years of seeing a rising homicide rate now going down, and I think that is in large part due to the excellent work of our Commissioner of Police and all police officers, as well as the various programs we have implemented under this administration, particularly the Leadership Intervention Unit. I think we are now seeing the dividends of that. And so while it is that we take pause to pat ourselves on the back, so to speak, it's also important that we continue to work together as a team and continue to press as we move into 2025 to even bring those numbers down, because in my opinion, it's 89 too many. I'm thankful it's gone down, but we need to take it down further.
After the break, should we be concerned about virus outbreak in China? Stay with us.
Freetown Drugstore, telephone 223-2876.
5 years after the COVID-19 virus emerged in China, the country is battling an outbreak of the human metapneumovirus, or HMPV. The HMPV is spreading rapidly and causes symptoms as in flu and COVID. We asked internist Dr. Marvin Manzaneros if there is cause for concern.
Well, what the notes I have been seeing, and I know they had put out an initial alert last week Friday, was that they were starting to see an increasing number of an influenza virus, one of the routine ones that we see every year. Of course, every virus mutates differently every season, and that's why you need a flu shot every year. So that has been alerted because of the amount of cases that you have. Remember, again, most patients are not required to be inside the hospital, but once you start having chronic conditions, pediatric cases, then that's when you need to be seen in the hospital. So I don't know that there is any new virus that has been reported, but once you start having a significant amount of the population being affected, then that's when your hospital can become overwhelmed. And that aside from whatever is happening in China, I think we always have to be on the alert because there can be a potentially new mutation happening. Let's not shy away from the fact of that the bird flu that's going on and affecting birds and other species in neighboring USA, which is closer to home. So we always have to be on the lookout because there is a virus certainly brewing out there that can complicate our lives.
In political news, when we left off on Friday, the Tracy Panton United Democratic Party, TPUDP, was meeting at the Collett constituency office of Patrick Faber about the way forward in the face of rumored early elections. They met for 4 hours and thereafter they announced that they would field 18 candidates whenever the next general elections are called, and they intend to do so under the banner of the UDP. So the TPUDP is preparing to go it alone, even as it says it is open to mediation, which the court advised. Today, we asked the attorney for the Shine Barrow UDP, SBUDP, Dr. Christopher Malcolm, about mediation.
Mediation is a voluntary process. That's one. Two, mediation happens in a context where parties are prepared to speak to each other and to be reasonable in their conduct. Now, the question I would ask anybody, and I know media persons don't like for questions to be directed at them, but let me say this. The question that anybody would ask is, if you're talking about mediation where somebody is not even prepared to honor an order of the court or to act by compliance to or so on, how do you establish an atmosphere for mediation that anyone can be comfortable in? Mediation arises where parties are going into an environment where there's comfort and there's an understanding that the process will have some integrity.
On December 6th, the Barrow UDP had argued that Panton should be held in contempt of court, reportedly for holding out herself to be leader of the party and using the party's letterhead. However, when the judge next issued an order on December 23rd, there was no order or even a reference to the matter of contempt of court. We asked Dr. Malcolm today if that has fallen by the wayside.
It hasn't at all. It has been stayed, has not yet been determined. Once an application is made to a court, until it is disposed of by the court, it is an application still to be heard. So all I'm saying is that in the same way, Ms. Panton will also make the point that she applied for certain orders which were also not dealt with by the court. And those orders included seeking to get orders to say Mr. Barr should not be able to do A, B, C, D, and whatever else. So Ms. Panton should also be clear, or anybody should also be clear to understand that what the court said, in the wisdom of the judge said, there are certain matters which are critical, and the judge quite clearly identified that the critical question related to that meeting of the 20th of October last year, and that other things were incidental to it. So we're not going to go into those sorts of details, save and except to say that the question of contempt of court is still alive. What I am saying is, since that application was filed, there are other things that have been done which we consider capable of, of being the foundation for a further or amended application for contempt of court.
Back to police news. Police are investigating an apparent burglary attempt at the terminal cargo warehouse on a far end of the PGIA compound of the runway in Ladyville, Belize District. 2 security guards were conducting foot patrol at around 1 a.m. Sunday when they detected suspicious activity behind the structure and realized there were 2 intruders. When they ordered them off the compound, one of the intruders fired toward the guards. The men then escaped through a hole cut in the chain link fence on the south end of the warehouse compound. Police found 1 expended 9mm shell and 1 live 9mm round at the scene. ACP Gilberto Romero confirmed that nothing was stolen.
On Sunday, the 5th day of January 2025, police responded to a shooting at the PGIA by the cargo area. Information was received that 2 security guards were working at the time when they sought persons in the compound. They became concerned and told the persons to leave, at which point they heard a gunshot. The police was called, they came, and the persons had already left the area. We are reviewing surveillance footage to try to establish the identity of these 2 persons. The place was not broken into and nothing was stolen.
San Pedro resident Alex Wade last week complained that he was the victim of police brutality while he was detained for assault. According to Wade, he was denied a phone call and was brutalized by several officers while in his holding cell. As a result, he sustained a fractured elbow. On Friday, Compol Chester Williams said the complainant is not being entirely truthful about how things actually played out.
Again, it has a lot to do with people being honest about what they said to the media. I spoke to the OC, or the divisional commander of the coastal area, Mr. Kaur, this morning on that issue. And my briefing from Mr. Kaur is that these individuals, I think there were 3 of them, detained in a cell with another person. Having detained them in the cell with the other person, they found out that the other person had some mental disability. Our policy is that once you have a person who is mentally challenged, that person must be detained separately from other prisoners. So the police officers went to the cell block to remove those individuals who were not classified as mentally challenged out of the cell where this mentally challenged person was. And when the officers went to do that, these 3 individuals attacked the police officers. The officers received varying degree of injuries, including when transporting them to the hospital. One of them stamped the police out of the vehicle, almost killing him. And the police have since charged those individuals for the injuries they had caused to the police officers. So we need to be honest, and we have to understand that police officers are human beings. And when police are doing their job, we must always ensure we work with them or cooperate with them. Even if you feel like the police officer is wrong, you have a responsibility to cooperate, and after you have done so, you can always make a complaint if you believe the police have wronged you. So again, I personally do not see anything wrong that the police officers did. Nonetheless, I have tasked Professional Standard Branch to go out and look at the situation. We may have video footages that will be able to help the police investigation.
On a point of interest, come January 31st, there will be new leadership at the helm of the Belize Defense Force. On that day, there will be a change of command parade where Brigadier General Azariel Loria, who has reached retirement age, will hand over the reins to Colonel Anthony Velasquez. Loria held the post for 3 years, having taken over from retired Brigadier General Stephen Ortega. After the break, gastrointestinal cases on the rise. Stay tuned.
Marlon Castillo Quality Meats.
There has been an increase in cases of gastrointestinal infections presenting with such symptoms as vomiting, diarrhea, stomach pain, and nausea, among others. Internist Dr. Marvin Manzanero says there is no treatment, and so doctors will address these symptoms directly. He believes we may also be seeing our own cases of norovirus.
This can be, I can't say for certain that that is it, simply because we are not doing the actual stool sampling, right? We are only managing patients based on the signs and symptoms that are coming up on them. But one of the reasons why we can think of norovirus is because that's called a winter gastrointestinal virus, the Norwalk virus that usually will give the signs and symptoms we are seeing in the outpatient department now. Most patients are not going to make it to the hospital setting, because most patients will have what's called a self-limiting disease. After 2 days of nausea, vomiting, gastrointestinal problems, symptoms are going to go away. So it's very few patients that will make it into the hospital setting, the ones that are having chronic diseases, the pediatric patients, the elderly patients. So it's a self-limiting disease in that it's after it has run its due course, it's going to disappear. It's only patients that are going beyond the 48-hour period and who are usually, as I said, pediatric or chronic patients that will maybe require further evaluation. And if they are dehydrated, you get IV medication. So it's what you call symptomatic treatment. You might get medication, antacid, something to reduce the abdominal cramps. That is the usual treatment that we would give. And as I said, most patients will not come into the clinical setting unless they are complicated or once the disease has gone beyond its due course.
And lastly, for this, how do people prevent themselves from catching it?
Well, it's one thing I think we need to clarify for patients is they're assuming it's related to food. And it's not contaminated food that we are talking about. This is a virus that is spread through poor hand hygiene. Yeah, it's poor washing of hands, and it's transmitted primarily when people are vomiting and in feces. So if you're around people that are vomiting a lot, some of those particles can become aerosolized and you can get it. But it's primarily through proper hand washing techniques that you would want to avoid the further spread of this virus.
In December, a Nicaraguan doctor identified as 50-year-old Carlos Alberto Saborio Cozens was charged with administering a noxious substance after being caught on surveillance footage slipping something into his friend's drink. The victim, a nurse, later reported the matter to the police and said the last thing he recalled was getting into Saborio's car. He reported being unconscious for 2 days. At the same time, there were reports that he was being blackmailed. On Friday, the police commissioner said they are investigating all angles.
That's a very complex issue. I know that there is some allegations of blackmail being involved in the whole issue. I'm not sure if a report was made to the police officially, but the attorney for the doctor did reach out to me and had sent me some information to suggest that indeed there was some element of blackmail in that whole situation. And so the police is going to look at it if an official complaint is made, and then we see how we go from there.
Police are on the manhunt for a missing man from Vista Del Mar in Ladyville, Belize District. Reports are that 36-year-old Mason Patnett was last heard from by his girlfriend, Sheen Moody, on Saturday night when they spoke on the phone. Moody returned home on Sunday to find the door open and Patnett gone. ACP Gilberto Romero told the media today that police are following up on several leads.
Yes, a missing person report was made to the Ladyville police, and we are following up on several leads at this time. So far, he has not been found.
Is it of concern for the investigators the purported manner in which he was either taken from his residence or how he left the residence?
Yes, it is of concern, so we are following up on it. We have investigators that are following every lead that we have at this time.
And the National Student Union of Belize, NSUB, held a virtual election on Sunday, January 5th, to elect their new executive council who will serve through to 2027. Thomas Surratt is the new president, with Darian Parham voted as the new first vice president and Yannicka Dorado as the second vice president. Tristan Rodriguez was voted general secretary, Andrea Neal as director of student affairs, Jaliza Roberts as events director, and Cecilia Morera as treasurer. Outgoing President Ashley Longford congratulated the new council and showed her support, saying, quote, "This new team represents the strength, diversity, and determination of Belizean students. I am confident that under their leadership, the NSUB will continue to grow and champion the causes that matter most to our members," close quotes. The NSUB caters to Belizean students in country and abroad and CARICOM students in Belize who are enrolled in a university or junior college. The union says it has a strong working relationship with government ministries and stakeholders in education. It resolves issues of students where possible and provides a platform for students to voice concerns. And with that, we have come to the end of our newscast. A repeat can be viewed on this station later tonight at 9 and again tomorrow at midday. Join us again tomorrow for another news broadcast. I am Drea Espinosa. Have a safe and enjoyable evening.